impromptu. So, okay, we are on the air. I am here with 1/3 of the Skeptic Feminist, unless you count all those rats and stuff. So I guess, like, I'm with like 27% of the Skeptic Feminist. Because what have you got now? You're like 3 rats and like 7 cats and.
Oh well, if you're going to count all of them, I have 3. No, sorry, I have 4. They have 3. So
and one died recently.
Yeah, one of them passed. A couple of them passed away recently. They have short lifespans.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, we have a lot of little furry animals, furry babies.
I've got one cat who's an extremely annoying bastard. Well, not a bastard. He's cute. He's good, but he's so fucking needy. I don't know what happened to him because he's like adopted or whatever. So I guess he was traumatized or something. Because, God damn it. Yeah. Anyway, so we have no topics. So I guess we could talk about our semi-feud or something.
Sure, we can.
Like feuding or something. But I don't know if that was more with Russian Deadpool than you or something. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was more with actually Homicidal Harley and Russian Deadpool than me. So, yeah, they split from our super secret group that don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I chose to stay because it felt like it was important for me to stay. Just valuable to hear the other side of the story and understand where everybody was coming from and why people in our own camp were saying that what we had done was a low blow. So,
do you think it was a low blow, or do you don't agree? Like just saying that, like, I don't know, a person that we know is like a rape apologist or something.
I agree with what we had said, but we could have said it with a little more tact, but it doesn't change that I feel we were right. I'm going to be eventually speaking with her directly to kind of hash that out. So.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned, Because, I mean, to me, it's kind of like when people accuse you of things before they've figured out what you're really about. Like, there's a lot of people who will call me, like, regressive and stuff. And then certain people will stick by that and say you're the most regressive person who's ever lived or whatever. And then other people say, wow, turns out you're not really that regressive. And to me, it's like they're just talking about this made-up fantasy word. Like, what does it even mean? Like, if I'm regressive, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't know I don't know what to do with that, So if you say, like, this person is a rape apologist, are they really, or are they confused, or maybe they have a point of view which is difficult to understand? Like, you have to work to understand it. So I feel like maybe you guys just shot the gun on that. I mean, that's the way I felt about it. So, yeah. Shot the gun? Yeah, that's not an expression. Jump the gun. Sorry.
It's okay. And that's one of the weird things about language and people on the internet and all that. You take this one little snippet of somebody's opinion and reaction and everything, and then you make your own opinion and reaction based off of that. And, sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right. And a lot of times it's an overgeneralization.
Yeah.
And people don't generally say, in this one instance, you are being this particular thing. So. Yeah.
But don't you find it weird to like label a person just like you are this, Like when people say to me, you're regressive, it's just like they've just taken my entire persona or my entire personality and just decided you're just this. And the only thing I feel like saying to that is like, well, fuck you, you judgmental pile of shit, fuck off, Well, it's more to me than just one random word that you made up. Like,
for me, like in particular, when someone says that, Ivy, you're mean, that's one that triggers me in particular, but it's different than if somebody says you're being this, because if you're being something, then, it's a very valid thing to say. The motivator, you're being the regressive by saying this. That would be a more accurate statement, and then you could address why that particular statement is seen as being regressive as opposed to just your whole entire being regressive.
Yeah. Well, I know that like you three are kind of like a collective sort of, but you guys have different opinions about stuff, right? Like I feel like
sometimes we do.
Yeah, Deadpool seems more kind of dedicated to the whole regressive thing. Is he? I don't know. Or do you agree with him? Or Like, what do you think?
We generally, when we make a statement or position like publicly, we generally agree. There might be some little nuance where we're not exactly on the same page. Like, for example, he's not on the same page with Black Lives Matter as I am, and the colorblindness being a racial form of racism. That's a video that he's been pushing me to do, but I just haven't had the time to do.
Wait, so where are you on it and where's he?
So that's an instance. Well, he doesn't see how being colorblind can be a form of racism.
Right.
And colorblindness can be a form of racism. So I need to make a video that like gives my position on that and explain it better, because it seems to be something that more than one person.
I had a bit of a discussion with Russian Deadpool about intersectionality, and he was saying like, you should treat people as individuals and you shouldn't break them into groups and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And my response to that was, but without groups, how can you have intersectionality? Because you can't intersect with other people unless they have some different identity. Otherwise, we're just like a big glob of humanity with no distinguishing features. But if somebody says this is something affecting the Black community, then they are a group. And in order for intersectionality to work, you have to try to incorporate kind of group dynamics. Whereas Deadpool was saying people aren't groups; they're like individuals. And I think that's not very intersectional. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't really want to put my foot in my mouth right now, because I don't know how I feel about that particular subject myself at the moment. I mean, like I was saying, we generally agree on a lot of the stuff that we say, but there are instances where we debate among ourselves, and that's one of the things that's really nice about having the three of us, is that we can debate among one another, and we do.
Well, I'm not trying to like
we are in a relationship at the same time. It's easier because we respect each other on a different level. So it's not like we're just talking to a stranger on the internet.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not trying to like create traps or something. I'm actually just curious about, like, genuinely curious about your guys' point of view. Like, what are the differences there? Like, what's the dynamics? Because then, like, when I talk to the Skeptic Feminist on Twitter, you're always like, we think this, and I'm always like, which one am I talking to now? Like, who am I talking to?
Yeah,
talking to Ivy.
That's a big criticism that we get. Yeah, it's pretty. That's why we generally agree. And if there's something that we don't agree on, like one of us will step outside and say, "Hey, don't quite agree with the others on this," or we don't particularly care one or the other. But like I said, we generally talk about stuff.
Right. Okay.
I'm rarely on Twitter myself. Like me going on Twitter, it's rare for me to get on Twitter just because of my job and the type of job that I do.
Yeah.
So I can't be on tweeting all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but this is also a topic I talked about with like Steve Jobs or whatever, but because he had the block button, like blocking people. I've also noticed with you guys, like sometimes when someone says something you don't like or that you strongly disagree with or that you think is bad, you'll block them or ban them or something, or like what's going on there?
Because we blocked you, for example.
But like I don't actually take an issue with people blocking. Like my friend Garrett, he was saying I was a bit of a hypocrite on blocking or something. In fact, he's going to make a video talking about how I'm a hypocrite on blocking or something, whatever. I don't know. And then I'll reply to him and be like, "You're a regressive scum," something like that. But
just love among friends.
Yeah, but the only issue I have with that is you seem to block me for disagreeing. And I feel like you can block me for being an asshole. You can block me. I did say go fuck yourself, but I didn't really mean that. I was just being a jerk. But I think besides
that was the thing.
Yeah.
When it gets to the point where you're just flinging insults at one another, that's when we generally just say, okay, we're done. We're not going to engage in this conversation anymore, because now it's turning into just name calling and anger. And of course, it's our channel and it's our content, so we get the last word. It's just, the way it is.
Of course,
and
I mean,
if somebody has,
sorry,
if somebody has issue, then they can message us, or like what you had done. You did the hangout with the other two, and you said what actually it was, and I'm like, okay, we've done that before too, so okay, that makes sense. We'll unblock you, that sort of a thing. But most people don't care enough, and they just want to fling insults, and it can be a lot of work to moderate comments. So we kind of have a very hardline policy on that.
but I can't remember what he said. But one of my subs was on a stream of yours, and he, from what I could see, he basically just said something that you or Deadpool, or I think it was probably Deadpool, disagreed with. And then Deadpool was like,
Okay.
"You're a regressive" or something. And then he said, "You're not worthy of interacting with my fans," and he blocked him or something. And
yeah, because they just threw an insult.
But was it an insult, or was it disagreeing with the substance
if you
of
say
something, you know? That's what I'm
Well,
wondering.
if you just enter into the conversation with an insult like that, like saying you're regressive, you're this, you're that, then sometimes we do block. It's
no,
kind of hit or miss when we do it.
I think it was Deadpool, but I don't know. He called the person a regressive, like for them saying something about
Sorry,
Muslims.
what you're saying.
You know, well, the commenter said something about Muslims, and then Skeptic Feminist is all like, "You're regressive, and you know, you're not worthy of being here," or something, and then block that guy or something. And to me, that seems more like a disagreement over substance. Like, if someone disagrees with me really strongly, I wouldn't block them, I don't think. But recently someone said, "I'll dox your fiance." So I was like, well, I'm fucking blocking you, you scumbag. But if people are just like...
Well, it just depends on the context.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends. I can't speak for that instance in particular because I don't know what the context was.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't take issue with blocking, but I sometimes take issue with the way people use it, like the way people block, you know. Because I think if someone's being an insulting ass hat, and I was being a bit of a dick when I was talking to you guys, so it's okay, then it's fair to block them. But if they just have a really strong disagreement, and even if they're annoying, I don't think that's worth blocking over. Like, just to me.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, different folks, different strokes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, ultimately it goes down to it's our channel, and we get to decide who we block and who we don't block. Just like, and if you get mad at us, you can go to your own channel and just flame us or whatever. You can post mean, nasty things about us, and we don't particularly care, you know.
Right. So you just block out all that noise, kind of.
Yeah, there is a lot of noise. Just we want intelligent conversations between people. And there are instances where it gets really heated, and sometimes we jump the gun. And like I said, if it's somebody that we've spoken to at length in the past, and you know, generally it's out of their character, then we will unblock them pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, then I guess that could be the next topic would be like, what is the Skeptic Feminist all about? Like, what is your goal? What are you doing? Someone asked me recently what my goal on YouTube was, and I just said to talk about stuff I'm interested in and have fun. And that was about it.
Yeah,
so what about you guys?
Bring information to people that, you know, me in my point in sorry, wording problems.
Yeah.
Specifically, for me, I wanted to provide more of a rational point of view from the feminist perspective, because I was finding a lot of overgeneralization and attack videos from the MRAs, which at the time I didn't even realize that, you know, the MRAs isn't actually a thing. It's, you know, a overgeneralization of the anti-feminist camp and people that are against feminism, you know. They just use the MRA as a buzzword, for example.
But so what do you mean by that, though? Do you mean some people who are MRAs are like bad, and then there's other people who MRAs who are like genuine activists for men's issues? But do you think MRA itself is kind of pejorative, or is it fair?
The term has been thrown around really loosely and has encompassed a bunch of other groups that don't actually stand for men's rights. They're like pickup artists, for example. They got grouped in with them just because they're men. And the MGTOWs, they got grouped in with them. And coming in onto YouTube last year, I didn't understand the difference.
But do you think if I say I'm an MRA, like that means I'm saying I'm a bad thing? Or do you think MRA is a good thing?
I feel that it has a negative connotation because of a lot of that's wording again. It has a negative connotation because of the propaganda against that whole camp.
Yeah.
So it's just been used as a buzzword, so it has a negative connotation to it.
But you see, that's my problem with regressive, just to come back to that again. That is a pejorative inherently, because no one would self-identify like, oh, you know, nice to meet you. My name's Tim. I'm a regressive. I would say, hi, I'm a progressive. So it's pretty much just an insult. But MRA is completely neutral, just men's rights activist. That doesn't imply that you're a cunt bag. But regressive implies you're a douchebag. Like, so that's why I think it's just an insult. If someone calls me a regressive, I'm like, well, no one self-identifies as a regressive. There's no regressive movement. There's just people who get insulted and called regressive. And I feel like Deadpool thinks this is a legitimate term, but I think it's just a well-poisoning thing. And social justice warrior, I thought that's a well-poisoning technique as well. I like social justice, but I'm not a warrior. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Sorry.
Well, if you go online and you start campaigning, that's why they're calling that warrior, in my opinion. But as far as the regressive thing goes, like, it just seems that, to me, if somebody's being called regressive, then they're not wanting to progress. They're just holding on to past ideas and past ideals and refusing to move forward in the thinking.
But you said if someone's being called that, so if someone's been called that, does that mean they are that thing? Or does it mean the person calling the name is not really listening to their argument and has just decided that they are that, you know?
Well, the person that's calling them that name perceives their position as that. They don't, it could be an instance where they're not seeing their side. It could be. It could also be an instance where they understand their side, but they just feel that they've already battled against it enough that they don't really want to deal with it. So.
But I mean, I think of myself as a progressive. It's just when I'm having conversations with people, I'm like, I'm a progressive. And then people are like, no, you're a regressive. I'm like, fuck you, you dick. I'm a progressive. No, you're regressive. All right, fuck you again. You're an asshole. Like, why do you keep calling me names? It's not a name. It's a real thing. I'm not insulting you. And then how am I a regressive? And then they can never explain it in a way that is actually fair or makes sense. It's always just shitty straw man.
Okay, then let me counter you with this. What does it mean to be a progressive to you? What do you see as a progressive?
Well, I'm thinking of making a video series on this. To me, I think a progressive is like a liberal who is more activist. And obviously, when you're more activist, you're going to get more pushback because you're going to be more controversial because you're going to be trying to change things all the time, like protesting and trying to make change happen, not just like sitting on your couch. And I think when you do that, there's going to be a lot of blowback. There's going to be a lot of people saying, you know, we don't agree with the views you have or what you're trying to do. So in order to find a way to understand it, they create kind of like straw men or just make up ways of thinking about it, and then they put regressive onto that. But I think it's like an activist liberal, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I think that could be one of the issues, is that people are using these overarching terms instead of actually defining what it means to them. So there's a bit of miscommunication there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But like how politically, how would you define you guys? Like liberals, or you wouldn't call yourselves progressives, would you? I don't know.
Well, it becomes a bit of a word salad when you start using them. We are egalitarians, and to that extent, we engage in feminist advocacy and some activism. And you know, that's ours, and that's the extent that we try to use, because it seems to convey the most accurately what we are. Most accurately what we are.
How do you define your activism?
Harley and Russian Deadpool, their main one that they do is the self-defense training for women.
Right, yeah, I've heard about that, yeah.
I don't engage in that as much as they do, just because I work so very much. I did reach out to the women's shelter and try to work out some trade or donation of my services, because I'm a massage therapist and a graphic designer, and so I offered that, but it just never worked out scheduling wise to be able to actually give any to anybody.
Because I've talked to friends about whether making YouTube videos is a form of activism or whatever, because I think besides that, like, to be honest, I don't do jack shit. So
yeah, that's why we say that that's our advocacy, because all we're doing is we're talking and we're producing content. You know, if you were to start crowdfunding project, that would be activism. You take that money and you donate it, that would be activism, because you're actually doing something and producing something in the end too, with actual results instead of just talking. But the advocacy is still just as important, engaging in these conversations so that other people can watch and figure out their own positions.
Yeah. Well, then I guess based on that, I would just be a progressive in waiting, in progress. I'm a work in progress as a progressive.
You haven't been able to yet.
Yeah, I want to be a progressive. I don't know.
You are progressing towards that end. How about that?
Yes, I'm progressing towards actually being a real progressive by doing activism to move society forward. Yay! But I think that the thing about progressivism is it's about primarily to me it's about practicality. It's about what works, and I think progressives believe that being more tolerant of Islam, for example, is practically useful, because it can create dialogue and it can slowly create ways to make the religion less radical because you're actually having communication. And they think that the kind of neo-Conish style of bluster and anger and just being really aggressive is not how it works. And I think that's why they choose to be, I guess, softer on Islam generally, and then that's construed or seen as apologetics and saying, therefore, all of the bad shit in the Middle East is fine, therefore, all the horrible things that happen under Islam are fine. But I think that's not the reason that progressives believe that. They believe that because they think it's practically the way to go. And that's the way I see it. So I'm being, I guess, more charitable to their intentions or their motives, rather than just saying that they're regressive or that's what they desire. I think there could be negative aspects or negative backlash to being tolerant of Islam. I can totally acknowledge that. I just don't think that's what's in their heart of hearts. That's not the reason that they're tolerant of it, not because they think it's great when women are persecuted and gay people get thrown at buildings. They don't think that. At least I don't believe. I don't know. I'm not sure what your opinion on all that spiel is, but...
Well, ultimately, I'm a atheist, so I don't want religion at all. I feel that it's a crutch that a lot of people use instead of facing reality and dealing with whatever it is that they have to and their own mortality, because the main appealing factor to any religion is that there's an afterlife, and no matter what you do here, if you follow the doctrines of your book and you're good in God's eyes, then you will have whatever God you have, you'll be in the afterlife and it'll be paradise. And if you're bad and you don't follow them, then you'll be in hell for eternity and burning and in torture forever. And that's a terrifying thought for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
So I would prefer it if everybody was an atheist as well, and skeptical, and critical, engaging critical thought and all that. But as far as what you were saying with the liberals being tolerant of Islam and everything, engaging in softer criticism as opposed to taking a hard line on it, just being tolerant of the softer form, I think that it doesn't acknowledge the fact that there is an extremely violent sect of that religion. It kind of excuses that by saying, well, not everybody's that way, the whole true Scotsman thing. They're the outlier of everyone. But the thing is that their book, that they are all, taking their religion from, sanctions that violence and actually encourages it.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it. The Muslims that are good people aren't doing anything about the Muslims that are bad people, because they're still Muslims. They're still part of the same community. They will speak out against them, possibly, but they won't actually do anything about it. And I think that the liberal side of that and keeping that position enables that very violent side to continue to grow, because it's not being addressed in, unfortunately, the way that it needs to be addressed.
There's one thing about that I don't quite understand, which is you saying that they don't acknowledge the violent parts, when I know for a fact, well, at least it's pretty much for a fact nobody thinks ISIS is good. If I haven't seen any liberals say ISIS is good, so they do acknowledge that ISIS is fucked up. They just have a different opinion on exactly why they're as fucked up as they are, or how they came into existence, or that kind of thing. And I also don't see how saying, we can't acknowledge the wider fact that Islam is fucked. I don't see how that's practically useful if people still think ISIS and the extremists are really terrible as well. Are you talking about kind of like the wider conservatism of Islam, which I think is definitely a thing? Like sort of random just families and neighborhoods and communities where they are very conservative and they do try to shut down women and they do try to, they make them cover up and that they wouldn't be into like Western things like, I don't know, comic books and pornography and heavy metal or something, Is that more what you're talking about? The kind of like general conservatism of Muslim communities?
I don't know. The few Muslims that I have actually spoken directly with that are still Muslims are more westernized Muslims. And they are just how Christians are, pretty much, like in the West.
Some Christians are still pretty fucked up.
They pick and choose.
Yeah.
They are, but they pick and choose from the religious texts and to, still do as much as they can while operating in the society that they're in and following the laws ahead of the book. But they're not speaking out against as... I haven't seen as many of those Muslims really against ISIS, for example. They tend to keep their head down because they don't want to be persecuted themselves, so they do try to blend in more.
Right.
And you would think, because they have to still live within their religious community, so in that context, you can kind of forgive that just a little bit, but at the same time, it's a bit of a quagmire trying to figure out what is the best course of action with all of that, because if you fight violence with violence, then you just get more violence. But if you don't address the violence that they are causing, if you don't fight back against that, then there's a real chance that they could steamroll whatever it is that they go against.
I think it's
take over lands and destroy monuments.
Yep, it's a balancing act.
So it's definitely, and that's where people have to decide for themselves where they stand on that sort of a thing. They need accurate information. Even if it is propaganda, it still just needs to be accurate, and they need to be intelligent enough to see both sides of anything, and hopefully reason wins out.
But I think that's the tension there, is like the liberals that are often called regressive, for example. I think they are legitimately concerned about, the Muslims you might know who they want to keep their head down and they are more moderate. And they still have like some weird beliefs because, I don't believe in Islam and I think it's like just a bunch of random shit or whatever. But they still have some weird beliefs, but they are trying to keep their head down and they are trying to just get by in life. And I legitimately think that the regressive liberals are just concerned about that. And that might give them a bit of a blind side to some of the worst practices. But I think to be regressive, you would actively have to want to regress. Otherwise, you're just being labeled in a negative way, basically.
I think in that sense, the term is being used to say you're refusing to move forward in a course of action to actually make change with this particular subject, as opposed to, we're just going to stay here and talk about it and let it work itself out. And try not to.
They're refusing to move forward because they want to protect that Muslim who's not like radical.
Well, they want to protect cultural diversity and good people, and they don't want good people to be persecuted for their belief system, which is good, but it's not helping, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah. We're allowed to have different opinions. I think that's allowed in this world, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so... Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so we've talked about regressive, we've talked about other bits and pieces. I was supposed to have a hangout with Bering earlier today, but he said a family thing came up. You guys did a hangout with Bering, right? So I watched a bit of that.
Harley and Russian Deadpool did. I had to work that day, so I didn't get to hang out with Bering. I was sad. Like, I didn't get to hang out with Bering. We had a whole bunch of big names from YouTube and the general community come on, and I'm just like, oh, I have to work. Why? Why does everybody have to be in another country and we have to deal with time zone issues?
Yeah, dealing with time zones is such a pain, eh? But like, you also did a hangout. Were you there for the hangout with Paul Elam or no?
Yeah, I was there with Paul Elam.
Is he one of the bad MRAs, or is he one of the good ones?
I don't like to label people as good or bad. He's trying to make positive change in the best way that he thinks that he can. Yeah. And some very negative people to his camp, and he definitely has some opinions that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to make for their own positive change, right? So.
I think it's just because we were talking earlier about MRA and whether that's like a poisoned term or whether it's like a good term. And I was just wondering where you think Paul Elam fits into that, because I personally would see him more on the bad side of MRA because he's kind of like a leader, and I think it's mostly, for him, it just seems like gender wars. Like, everything's about men versus women. Like, women want this stuff, they want your kids, they want, they want to take everything from you, kind of like.
And like, you hearing counters from their camp, like men that have been royally screwed over and their children have been chaotic mother and they can't get them because the system's messed up. They definitely exist. But then there are also women whose husbands and the fathers of their children are deadbeat dads and drug addicts, and so they have to protect their children. And it's like, well, who in this whole battle, like, how do you set up the judicial system so that the children go to the safest place? You got to think about the children and not a gender preconceived whatever. And nowadays, women can be just as good of a provider financially as men can. My mom, for example, was a single mother most of my life, and she provided financially for my sister and I. So my father wasn't in the picture, but the legal system made it so that she could have full custody and take care of us. But my stepsisters, at one point, their father got custody of them because their mother was unfit to be a parent. And in that particular instance, he had to go through extra hoops in order to get the custody. So the men that do encounter this are just so angry and mad at the system that nobody's changing it to be more modern, and to address that. And I think a lot of that will come across that they're just assholes because at this point they're just unapologetic about it,
But I think my issue with that is not that those legitimate men's rights issues exist, because they obviously do, because we do know that there's a very high male suicide rate, and we know that they're in prison a lot more, probably more likely to commit crime and get in violent situations, and they, they probably do lose custody of their kids. But I, when it comes to that, I don't know about the details of the relationships of these individual men, like what they have or have not done. But I think you can be concerned about all of those men's rights issues and still not turn it into kind of like a bitter thing about how women have fucked you over. And I think the bitterness is what turns people off the MRA. It seems like these guys are just really angry and bitter, and they spend a lot more time, at least, in terms of how it's perceived, talking about how women have fucked them over as opposed to men's issues. And I think that's the reason that the MRA has become kind of like, this is a woman-hating movement rather than a men's rights movement. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the same thing that we hear about feminism too. You know, you have women that have encountered a bunch of horrible things with men, and they're the loudest voices, and they're the ones that are out front, you know, screaming because they're the ones that have the rage. They're the ones that don't care. They don't want to listen to the other side, so they just take and they just bulldoze, trying to reach their goal, and they don't care who they hurt.
Well, some of those
And
radical
that's the
feminists
way
are
it
the
is
most,
on both sides.
they're the most visible ones. They're the ones that stand out the most. And I think that, but I think the same could be said of like Paul Elam, for example. I think it always seems like,
that
you
is
know,
true.
Paul
Like,
Elam is the MRA guy, you know? Just like with feminists, you're like, oh, Big Red or someone who's really annoying is the representative of feminists.
Well, and Paul Elam can speak for himself and all that too. I mean, if you want to talk to him, you can reach out and try to talk to him to try and understand his point of view. But at the same time, you know, he comes across the way that he comes across, just like the skeptic feminist comes across as, you know, ban happy, angry, and, you know, it's just perception.
I don't think you're ban happy or angry. I just think occasionally it just seems like some people get under your guy's skin, and you're perfectly within your rights. You're within your rights to have people get under your skin. Like that's normal. Like I don't have a problem with that. I would just reconsider like whether you think you ban someone just for having an annoying disagreement or because they're legitimately like, you know, shitty.
You're just concerned with the severity of the transgression and the reaction that we have with it. It kind of seems what you're saying.
Well, you might end up like Steve Shives. So, I love Steve.
Well, Steve's been on the internet for a long time, and that's how he deals with all of the trash that comes his way. Is he just bans and he deals with it later. From what I know of Steve, if somebody genuinely, you know, is not going to give him a bunch of shit, he'll unban them. You know, it seems to be a thing.
But I think
so
it's
whenever
funny
anybody's
because,
like,
I cut you off. I keep cutting you off. I'm just mansplaining constantly. But
yeah, I'm used to it. I'm a woman. It's fine.
Yeah. And is Russian Deadpool mansplaining all the time, or not really?
Yes, he does too. Yes, that's why we let him speak more. You know, because he actually likes doing it, and I tend to not like to fight for the spotlight. So I'm good. My opinion's out there anyway. I'm not being misrepresented most of the time. When I am, I speak up. So I'm good.
Yeah, I forgot what we were.
So what were you
going to say? Actually, I don't know. I just forgot what we were talking about. Oh, but that's the thing. I had a hangout with Steve the other week, and we talked about banning and all that kind of stuff. And he's a really chill guy. He's really relaxed. He's real cool. He's just really friendly, and it was just like a real enjoyable conversation. But you go online, and man, the hatred against him is just extreme. Like people hate him so much. And one of my questions was, why do people hate you so much, Steve? But I didn't get around to asking it. But it was one of them. But it's true. It's like he's a very inoffensive guy. He's like a friendly, nice man. But people fucking hate him, and I think it's the banning thing. Like it drives people insane. So it's like, I don't know.
Well,
like
I think it's my opinion with it is that he's eclipsed himself as an individual, and he's become like a meme or like an internet saying, you know, oh, you're gonna Steve Shives them, and it's just become, you know, because certain people have progressed and kept bringing light to that particular quirk that he has, or they just felt very wronged by the fact that he just bans everyone. You know, some people find it really funny that he just bans. I personally find it a little bit hilarious that, you know, everybody's so upset that he's choosing to interact with people this way, and they're having such a big issue with it. And it goes back to the whole, you're censoring me because you're banning me. And it's like, well, no, we're not censoring you. You can still say what you want to say. I'm just not going to listen to you.
No, but I totally agree with that point of view when it comes to blocking. I think it is just like, you've got the power to do it. It's totally within the rules. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But people do perceive it as like some freedom of speech thing. They're like, Steve hates freedom of speech. Have you seen this old video where he talked about how dialogue should be open and now he bans people? That is kind of hypocritical, actually. If you want open dialogue but you ban people, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, we want intelligent dialogue, so there we go.
But I think so does he. But I think so much non-intelligent dialogue was just like, you're a cuck, Steve. Your wife is abusing you. You're being like held hostage by your wife. You're a weak man, you know?
Yeah, and those are just insults, and they're not productive. They're not productive at all in a conversation, just throwing insults at one another, calling each other names, you know? If they're giving your opinion on something, that's different. And phrasing is very important. And, you know, it's really easy to miscommunicate tone and everything through text.
Yeah, oh man, definitely. Like sometimes, like the written word can just come off so differently than when you're talking to someone face to face. Like I've definitely noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Inflection, body language, all of that's very important in communication.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I love being sarcastic. It's my favorite form of humor. And it doesn't come across very easily in text or, you know, Facebook or Twitter. So people are always thinking that I'm just being a massive asshole. And I guess I am.
Yeah, you do come off as a massive asshole, but you're doing it sarcastically. And in your mind, it sounds a certain way. But if somebody else just had a really bad day and then they read it, they're like, oh, he's being a fucking cuck again.
That's true. I'm like, oh, this is going to sound real cute. And then I send it and they're like, you fucking piece of shit. Like, oops, I kind of misread that situation.
Yeah. And that's why I feel that YouTube is extremely valuable in that way because, okay, I don't know where you're at, but it's bright outside, so I'm assuming it's day, and you were saying that it was Saturday over there where you're at?
It's 4:36 p.m. Saturday, yes. And it's sunny.
Yes. So, yeah, and here it's 10 p.m. on Friday. So the fact that I can communicate with you face-to-face over the internet and over YouTube, and it's documented if somebody wants to watch it, I think that's a really fantastic and amazing thing. Yeah. And that it's accessible to pretty much anybody that wants to make an account, you know. It provides, you know, a great forum for people to get these ideas out and debate and communicate.
And then they can look back on it and be like, wow, Skeptic Feminist totally owned Demotivator / Tim, and wow, Tim destroyed Skeptic Feminist, you know? They can look back on it.
Yeah.
And then I can just delete the video because I'm ashamed of my performance.
Oh, don't delete. It shows your progress. Your journey through this YouTube
becoming a real man. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with YouTube. It's fun, but it's also frustrating because just like so many.
It's also entertainment.
Who don't fucking listen. You know, so many. It's ridiculous.
That's when you know, the entertainment aspect of it comes in, and that's why we dress up as supervillains pretty much, because it's fun and we enjoy doing it and it's entertaining and it's a reason to get people to come and watch us, and we get more people exposed to our message and, you know, the ideas that we want to share and get out, and the information that we find and want to share with people.
Well, so when I first started watching your videos, I just noticed that you guys are doing a thing, and Harley was just laughing maniacally the entire time. So I guess she just laughs maniacally. It's sort of her thing.
Sometimes, yeah. she has a really good Harley laugh. It's really it's loud though, so we can't. Quite often we'll get comments that'll say headphone warning, because all of a sudden it'll spike because she did one of her Harley laughs, and it just spikes everything. But it's fun.
Like evil cackle.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't hear what you just said.
Oh, I said like an evil cackle.
You didn't pick it up. Oh, okay.
Yeah. There is one comment that I read. I'm not sure what you think about it. I don't know if it's insulting or something. But the guy who was blocked on that stream said to me, you know, it's really hard to have a good dialogue with the Skeptic Feminist if you're not an anti-feminist. So he was saying, like, feminists are given less room for doubt or room for error or less benefit of the doubt, because it seems like you guys are really trying to understand, like, the point of view of, like, MRAs and Bering and Sargon, all those kind of people. But that if you're like a hardcore feminist, you're much more likely to I don't know, get in trouble with you guys. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's completely unfair characterization?
Well, it's probably that person's perspective, so it's a valid point that they have observed of us. One of the things that I want to bring to our channel is just that we engaged with them in a dialogue, like people on the other side of the fence, and actually talked with them. Because at the time, all of the information I was finding was a lot of the hit pieces where they're calling each other names, like, and then the whole Laughing Witch Thunderfoot issue that had happened last year. That was a big thing that had happened too, and we didn't feel that that was engaging in the dialogue and moving forward and seeing each other's perspectives and exposing each other's audiences to new points of views, and that's really important for us. And so that's why we tend to try and get those people talking to us more often than we do fellow feminists, because if you have two people that generally agree on the same thing, like just right out of the gate, you're both feminists, then it's, oh great, it's two feminists shit-talking MRAs again. You know, it's generally what people will think before they even watch the video, so they get less views, which is pandering to an audience, I know, but it's still important in my mind.
But do you ever feel like in your desire to dialogue with anti-feminists and so forth that you end up being overly charitable and forgiving of things that they might say that by any other measure might be troubling or bad things, or, you know, because you're trying to understand their point of view, but they might say something somewhat fucked up and then you can't like correct it because you're trying to understand it. Like, does that ever happen?
And that's when we have follow-up talks with them to kind of hash out this one little thing that we didn't agree on in the chat, and we've done that a couple of times.
Okay, yeah.
Or we engage in comments debates, or Russian Deadpool will do tweeting back and forth with them, you know, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
It's more rare for us to encounter a feminist that disagrees with us as much as a anti-feminist disagrees with us. Even though when we get people on, they are nicer than they seem to be on the comment section or whatever, or their own videos.
Yeah. I try to keep it the same across the board so that people kind of know what they're getting. I don't know if I achieve that, but I try to be the same on comments as I am in person, but
well, and there's three of us, so that is something. You never know what we're going to be like.
Exactly.
The way that I write is different than the way the other two write. So it's, if I'm engaging in a comment debate thing, it tends to be a lot different than if they are.
Yeah. Do you guys have different ideas about what kind of videos you want to make, or like what you want to put out? Like, do you guys ever have disagreements or fights about that kind of stuff, or not really?
Generally not. There have been a couple of them where one of us will have this, what we feel is a great idea, and we do the video and we edit it and make it all great, and then the other two watch it and they're like, that's not a good idea to put up. And then we explain why, and then we might refine it and do it differently, or not put the subject up at all. So that does happen.
Yeah. And you do mirrors a lot too.
Yeah. When we find information that we feel is worthy to share or important, then we mirror. That was originally what the channel started out as, was just a way to mirror information.
Yep, sure. Cool. Well, what other topics do we have? We've got the feud, we've got thingies, we've got MRAs, you've got a cute cat, superheroes. Oh! Did you see Suicide Squad?
Yeah, we saw Suicide Squad.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's bad. Is it bad or good?
It was severely disappointing. Everybody, everybody makes their own opinion of it, but it was quite disjointed in a lot of areas. And upon further research, we found that they basically reshot the entire movie to get a different tone to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would have been better if they hadn't done that and just stuck originally what they wanted to do.
Wait, so they had an original movie and then they reshot the whole thing?
That's our understanding. They they reshot a lot of it, if not the entire thing. Yeah.
To make it worse for some reason.
I think they were trying to tone it down or something, like it was too dark, and the Superman or something didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I watched it. There were parts of it that I liked, but there was parts of it that I didn't like. Fresh Deadpool was really upset because of the between Deadpool and Harley in it. You know.
Yeah.
Not the Joker and Harley. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Deadpool and Harley.
What was wrong with the Joker? Isn't the Joker by Jared Leto, wasn't it pretty good, or was it shit?
Well, as far as a version of the Joker, you know, I liked him. I didn't like the way they glorified Harley and the Joker's relationship, because I could tell you spoilers, but during it, she's pretty much like, oh, yay, Mr. J, oh, he's going to come get me, oh, and it's just, she's just like, and they painted in a light that it really shouldn't have been. Like, originally, like, what we really feel is that it was a nod to all the women that were in abusive relationships, and just to show you that even if you get stuck in an abusive relationship, you can still empower yourself to be able to stand on your own, like Harley ended up becoming over the years, instead of just a sidekick and his, you know, #1 minion, which was what she started out as.
I saw
but the fact that she's becoming the sex object is we take real issue with.
I saw some articles saying that in this movie, Harley is essentially like a sexual abuse victim who is kind of like the Joker's slave, and it's some kind of like weird analogy for like the Stockholm syndrome, like her abuser has sway over her or something. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if this is true, but I just read some article saying something about that. So is her betrayal kind of like as a abuse victim of some kind, or emotional abuse?
Yeah. In general, that's who Harley is. But in this instance, she's still stuck in that. And it's, in addition to that, they're romanticizing it, so it's like a good thing that she's like in love with him. It was really weird how they painted it. So
yeah,
we didn't like it, that bit of it in particular. Yeah.
Well, I
like
sad.
The main villain.
Oh, who's that?
Enchantress. She was really cool. I wish they would have given more on her. She was really cool.
I also saw Ghostbusters, and I have to be honest, I fell asleep.
Good feminist.
Thanks.
Oh, really? You did? You didn't like it?
I got up to the last battle, and spoiler alert for me as a human being, but I pirated it, so sorry about that, people. But I got up to the last scene where they were doing the fight thingy, and then I just sort of like was like, oh, I'm so sleepy. I can't. It's so fucking boring. I was just bored. I thought it was a boring movie, yeah. Chris Evans was good in it. I guess I'm not a very good feminist, so I think the man was good. He was funny.
He played a really good bimbo.
Yeah, he was so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible feminist then.
No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Ghostbusters. It was funny. I found it entertaining and funny, and it made fun of itself throughout it. It didn't really take itself too seriously, in my opinion. I thought it was entertaining.
But didn't you find that it was oppressive to men? Because there's no men?
No, because...
And the one man that was in it, was bimbo. It's offensive.
Yeah.
I cried that night.
You can't please everyone. We had a whole bunch of movies in the 80s that were like that, which was when Ghostbusters originally came out, which I think is why they paralleled it the way that they did and made it all female and tried to make fun of it.
But it wasn't...
It ended up making a lot of people...
If it wasn't right to have all men in the first place, then it's not right to have all women in the first place. When they just have 2 men, 2 women, you know, and I guess it's like one black guy, one black, a black man, a white man, a Native American woman, and a woman in a wheelchair, and then that would just be perfect. You know, represent everybody, or a Muslim,
right?
Muslim woman in the burqa.
Everybody there.
Yeah.
Well, I think. My own personal opinion about the way that all that effectively works is you have one extreme over here, but then you have to swing the pendulum completely to the other side to get people to realize how absurd it was when it was over here. and then eventually you meet in the middle and you get a middle ground.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. With that, and just generally any gender issue.
They just went from one extreme to the other. They went from like
get ostracized for that, but
all men to all women. You know.
Yep. And they showed, and in doing so, they showed the absurdity of that and how absurd it was that it was all men to begin with. You know, like you're saying, it should have been right down the middle and had everybody. You don't agree?
Well, I think it's absurd to even give a shit because it's a movie about people catching fucking ghosts. You know. I had some back and forths with some friends on Twitter, just like catching ghosts is a man's job. It's not for women. You know, women are best at doing other things. They don't have the physical strength to operate the ghost busting machines. Like it's fucking fictional. It's no ghosts. It's not real, people.
Well, yeah, none of it's real. It's all fantasy, just like video games are fantasy, but people still get up in arms about it. You know,
that's offensive. You can't say that about video games.
It's the way that our society is.
You offended a whole bunch of gamers just then when you said that.
I'm a gamer myself.
You just offended yourself.
When I have time, I prefer to game as opposed to be on YouTube, but here I am.
Yeah. Cool.
Anything else? No, we've talked about pop culture.
Well, it was very impromptu, so we had absolutely no plans about what we were going to go on about. So I just thought I'm
probably going to get a ration of shit for going on, but that's okay.
You're going to get what?
A ration of shit from someone one of our fans will probably tease me about being here. I don't know.
I don't know if I have fans. I think that's a myth. I think
you don't have fans?
No.
Oh, your fans are fictional?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I want to have like, you know,
all your fans are bots.
Flying monkeys. What's that?
All your fans are bots.
They probably
we'll just say that.
Who do you have like some number one fans or like your biggest fans of some kind? People who just worship you and follow you around everywhere, saying how awesome everything you say is.
When we first started out, personally, I had one fan, but he kind of disappeared on me, so I don't know what happened to him.
Oh.
For like the first 6 months, he just kept talking to me like privately and just wanting to talk and talk and talk. And then my life got kind of, so I couldn't engage with anybody for a while, and he just kind of disappeared. But we do have actual like really good fans that come in to our comment section and talk with each other and debate with one another, and it's really nice actually. I really like the people that are subscribed to us.
So that original fan was just a stalker who got lazy at a certain point.
I think so. It kind of seems like what had happened, so I'm not putting much stake into it anymore. So it was kind of a nice little ego boost in the beginning, but then it's like, well, that's not really why I'm doing this to begin with, so I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Well, you've got to get to a point where, like, Atheism is Unstoppable has the flying monkeys. You've got to get to a point where you've got such rabid collective fans that you can just give them a name. Like, I don't know what you'd call your ones, like the Skeptic somethings. Skeptic Feminazis or the Skeminazis. You could call them that.
Skeminazis. Sounds like a sex STD or something. Skeminazi.
I've got Skeminazi syndrome.
Oh, so, that's definitely. Maybe I'll tweet that and ask everybody what they want their fan name to be. We just generally call everybody Comrade because Russian Deadpool's Russian, and that's what he uses, Comrade. Yeah. So we call our fans comrades, or subscribers in general.
So commie feminazis.
Kind of. I'm not commies though, so that's painting a light on us that doesn't exist. So
this is YouTube. We don't do nuance. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, we do clickbait on YouTube. So
I think if you call people comrades and you're from Russia, you're a communist Nazi. Because it's YouTube. That works, man. Anyway, so I might end up doing my hangout with Bering in half an hour or something. He's in the comments saying that you look
we have comments going on?
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to comments. Hi, comments!
Bering
Give a thumbs up!
That you're Christy Winters. Because I guess to him all women look the same or something.
No, I'm Ivy from the Skeptic Feminist, Barry. You didn't get to talk to me because I was at work. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of other people just doing the things. He's a fan, but I'm not. But I am a bot. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Notice me, senpai. Hello, Mahmood. It's a guy called Mahmood. So we've got. She's hotter than Christy Winters. Okay.
Oh, that's nice. No, I mean,
you're friends with Christy. You can't say that.
I genuinely like Christy. Christy's a nice person, so I genuinely like Christy. So don't.
Well, you just lost half the chat.
Don't tell her I said that.
Anyways, I can't think of anything else to talk about right now unless there's something.
And nobody in the comment section wants to throw something in?
Yeah, does anyone have a question of some kind? Anybody?
Yeah. I can't see the comment section for some reason.
Sad. All right, bye. Who's sad? Me? Bored? You fucking bastard.
Bored. I can take my top off. That'd be entertaining, right? Everybody would like it if it... Nudity's great. Want to see my cat? Well, my cats? I have 2 cats. This one here is Fenrir.
I don't understand how your cats don't eat your rats.
Oh, he's not allowed near the rats. He's really aggressive still. He's just a kitten. Okay. But my other cat, the one that's asleep on the back there that you can see, that's Dewdrop, and she doesn't give a fuck. She's like 13 now, so.
She tries to kill your rats.
She doesn't. He does, but she doesn't. Yeah.
One day you're gonna come home and it's just gonna be like a fucking tragedy. It's gonna be like you're gonna be running in slow motion, like no.
No, I have to keep my rats in cages. Like Russian Deadpool and Harley's rats are free range, and they're domiciled. But because of my landlord and whatnot, I don't want the destruction that they cause. Which is unavoidable because they like to chew on everything. That's just something that comes with having rats. So mine are kept in cages. They have this huge setup. It's very nice. I spoil them since I can't let them run around.
Yep.
All right. Well, then I guess we're done. So
yeah, I can't think of anything.
Nice chat.
And this person in the chat said the chat is pathetic and boring. And apparently that's true because no one.
Well, of course it is. It's the feminists.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a feminist channel, right?
We talk about nice, civil things, and it's like watching paint dry, basically.
Yeah.
On that topic, have you ever seen paint dry? What was it like?
I have painted.
My microphone's falling out.
Oh no! Oh no! Technical difficulties.
Drama. Jesus.
Somebody reached through the internet and just like knocked it over to cause some
poltergeist. Call the Ghostbusters.
Poltergeist. My psychic powers did that.
What the fuck were we just talking about? Oh yeah, how the chat was boring.
We're just wrapping up. We're just blowing time so that we're done at 11, and like we have 2 minutes left. So.
Oh, here we go. Tim, you said you need to say rats suck to start a fight. Yeah, fuck rats, man. They're fucking shit.
Oh, well.
I read the book 1984, and they put a guy's head in a cage, and they tried to make the rat eat his face. So fuck rats. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I have to say to that is rats can be very mean if you abuse them, and that's terrible. I can't believe that.
And they were being used by the system.
I am the one out of the Skeptic Feminist that doesn't really get mad, so trying to bait me like that doesn't actually work. I just go, well, you have a very sad outlook on life if you don't like rats. I like rats enough that I got a rat tattoo on my shoulder, see?
That's pretty cool.
How cute he is. Right? He's cute. Yeah, he's all chubby and fat. He's a rat.
I don't really do tattoos because I'm scared of needles. I'm not actually scared of needles. I'm just too lazy to get tattoos, actually. I can't be bothered.
They're expensive. They can be very expensive.
Yeah.
I have 2. I have the dragon on my arm here, and then now I have this one. So
they're cool. I just can't see the point in having something on my body forever. Yeah.
I like rats a lot, and I like dragons a lot. So and I like art. I'm an artist as well. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a chat in which we have resolved all of the problems between Demotivator Opinion and Skeptic Feminist. We're no longer enemies. Deadpool is now my biggest fan, and these guys are going to be supporting me from now on in everything.
And you're going to donate $50 to us every week, and we will have a chat with you every other week.
I'll consider it. Okay. Do you have a Patreon?
We do. We have a Patreon. We have a PayPal for people that just want to give us a one-time tip as well.
I could give you
both of those set up.
A hate dollar.
A hate dollar. Well, you could give us a hate dollar, yeah. And if you really want to, I mean, you have to.
Well, apparently, TJ Kirk, the Amazing Atheist, he gives $6.66 to Brett Keane, who's like this creationist weirdo guy, just because he's trying to.
So he has to see the 666.
He's trying to be edgy and cool by giving him money. Like, yeah, I'm
that entertaining.
So I'll do that. I'll be like, no, I'm on all sides of the aisle.
I'm giving you evil money. Yeah, give us evil money. Give us 666.
It could be passed easily. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I will see you in the chats and our super secret group that we're in and all that stuff. And it was nice chatting.
No, if we don't talk about that, that's
what?
Private. She didn't mention the super secret cabal.
No, not a super secret feminist group or anything where we
coordinate
all of our attacks on everybody.
Yeah. I was going to say something else, but I've completely forgotten. That's a good way to end a stream. What the fuck was I going to say?
So, bye, everybody.
Bye.